Hey y'all, it's been a while. I am getting ready for work, but I am planning to do a video throughout my evening shift. I'm working 5 to 11 today. I'm probably not going to be doing it during my shift though, unless I really have an actual break. That doesn't actually happen, but I can do in between while I'm waiting for calls. It's like trying to put a condom on the watermelon. These are Pro compressions, by the way. I've had these guys for probably 3 years now, and they've held up really well, and plus they come in cool funky colors, so they're harder to lose than the dryer and the wash. Don't get lost in the abyss of the black like my soul. I look good at the start of my shift. By the end, I kind of look like a melted Barbie doll. I haven't been wearing foundation and everything for a while. I did put a little bit of acne spot treatment on that guy over there. So what I wanted, that looks so bad. So what I wanted to talk about really quick today before I end up heading out is a few misconceptions that I have kind of heard around the mulberry bush in regards to hospice, which kind of blows my mind. Because some of these misconceptions have even been from healthcare workers, like nurses that I've run into on the floor and things like that, who, not everyone is educated to hospice and what we do and kind of our process. And, everyone, that's why it's great. We can all learn and grow. Love the chub and stick. So not everyone's accustomed to that. Look, it's so dark. Hold on. So I have about a half an hour before I actually start my gig. Need recessed lighting up in this biznatch. Holy crap. So a few things that I've heard. Holy crap. Number one, that we stop all medications when the patient comes on hospice. That is so untrue. We might DC some maintenance meds, or we might try to, but usually we don't. Because why? Unless the patient we have a fear of aspiration, patient's not swallowing the medications, they're no longer benefiting the patient. We're not going to discontinue medications because patients on hospice, we're going to speed up that process quicker. No, we're not going to do that. We're going to keep them on their meds. Hospice doesn't cover all medications. We have to be related to the primary diagnosis for hospice, or we have to, prescribe them. The hospice doc has to prescribe them and approve them, that hospice covers them, but we don't discontinue medications right away. I've never seen that happen. They will if the patient's not swallowing them. I've seen things like multivitamins or vitamin B12s that might just kind of not be really contributing much to the patient's quality of life, and we're just trying to get 10 pills in the AM into a patient. That takes 20 minutes sometimes, depending on the patient. So what kind of quality is that of life when they could just be relaxing or sleeping or whatever? We're trying to get a vitamin B12 in them. But if the family wants it, if the patient wants it, if the patient's still able to swallow, we're going to just stick with the meds that they have. So this is filmed on a different day, if you can't tell, because I'm not in my uniform. But so another misconception of hospice is that we stop feeding the patients. I've actually heard this from a staff member at a facility I was going to, and I'm not sure why, because she said something along the lines of, well, you stop feeding them, right, when they're in hospice. No, that's not true. We actually encourage our patients to eat what they can on whatever specific diet, as long as they're not aspirating. It's the general guidelines you follow for every patient, and we encourage favorite foods as well towards the end of life, as long as they can still swallow appropriately, because we just like I've said in the past, hospice is shaky camera. Hospice is all about quality of life, and quality of life is a lot of people. It's those favorite foods. Now, something to keep in mind with favorite foods though is that towards end of life, depending on the patient as well, because a lot of these patients may be cancer patients, things like that, and certain medications that people take can also change their sense of taste, so their favorite foods might not be their favorite foods anymore. Ice cream is always a popular one, I find, among a lot of patients, so you can always try ice cream as long as, again, it's appropriate for them swallowing wise to do so. So we will continue to follow their diets. We will even schedule a swallow eval to see what diet is most appropriate for them, so they can get the most out of whatever nutrition that they can handle. So we will see if they need a diet downgrade perhaps, so that we can actually, see if they want to eat something. Maybe they were just on the wrong diet beforehand, and we can help them out with that. We also will do a swallow eval to see if it is still appropriate to be feeding them their current diet, because we don't want our patients having aspiration pneumonia. That's a big no-no. And of course, like all other, like most family members, they're going to be concerned with their loved ones' nutritional intake, which is normal. And you have to educate them based on where the patient is in life, whether or not it's appropriate for them to be eating, etc., things like that. But for the most part, yes, we do feed patients. We will not just stop food because they're on hospice. Too bad, so sad you can't eat anymore. No, patients can eat whatever they want as long as it's appropriate for their diet and they can swallow it. We will have the family members who will continue feeding their family member or their loved one certain foods, even though there is a risk of aspiration pneumonia. So you got to just educate on aspiration precautions. Always note that in your clinical note. Or your assessment, whatever you want to call it, that you did educate on aspiration precautions when you go, just a CYA, and there you go. Another misconception of hospice is that we start morphine right away, which is untrue. Morphine is a pretty big word for a lot of family members who, when they start hospice, they hear, oh, we're going to send you an E-kit. It has morphine, Haldol, etc., blah, blah, blah in it. And they're like, oh God, morphine, Ativan, all those scary words. But we don't start people off on morphine off the bat just because they're on hospice. Morphine is an appropriate medication to use for them to control their pain, then we will do it. But there are other methods that we try. Patients can be put on methadone depending on the type of pain, Dilaudid. Some patients just take Tylenol or Motrin, and that is okay with them and that holds them over. But we don't start patients off on morphine just because they're on hospice. Nope. And the final misconception I'm going to do about hospice is that patients have to remain in bed or that they're bedbound. That's untrue. I feel like most people, when they think of hospice, they think, oh, well, these are people on their quote-unquote deathbeds. That's wrong. We still have patients who get out of bed, they do their daily activities, they go down to the common areas in their facilities, or, they at least get out of bed. We do, teach patients to conserve energy, not to just kind of blow it all in one couple hours. But, if they want to go for an outing to a restaurant and it's, medically okay, then we're going to let them. We're not going to tell them no. We just have to educate the family on how to control symptoms if they do arise, and that they can always give us a call if they need anything. Like I've said before, hospice is about quality of life, and that is part of it is socialization. And we want our patients to be social, because a big issue with decline in our general geriatric population is isolation. If you're ever in a facility and you have a little bit of time, you can go visit your patients and just kind of check in and have a chit chat, not necessarily for a clinical visit if you have the time. Yes, we do encourage socialization and doing things that make them feel good, whether it's getting out of bed to a chair and just sitting in the sunroom for an hour and then going back to bed for a nap, whatever they feel most comfortable with and they're able to do, we're going to let them do it. Hospice is not about telling people where they can and can't go, what they can and can't eat, what medicines they should or shouldn't take. Hospice is just about improving the quality of life for patients who have a 6-month or less prognosis. And you are not looking to go after aggressive treatments to try and cure their primary diagnosis. So it has really nothing to do with eating, medication, or socialization status. It has to do with basically they're not going to go back and go get chemo and, there are bugs, unless it's a palliative chemo, but they're not going to go and pursue aggressive treatments towards whatever their primary diagnosis is or the disease is. But it really, if a patient wants to say, I still want to take my B12 every day, that's perfectly fine. We're going to let them take their B12 every day. Hospice might not cover it as a medication. you know, but we're going to let them take their multivite, their B12, you know, whatever makes them feel good. I know if I get older, I'm still going to take my B12. I'll have fun to my nurses with my bright yellow pea. So we're not about telling people what they can and cannot do. We're just looking out for the patient's best interest in regards to quality of life. And, you know, we'll be there to support them every step of the way, and help them manage their symptoms when, you know, their time is and they get called home, which could be in a week or a couple of days. It could be in a year, could be in 2 years. So those are a couple misconceptions about hospice that I've encountered along my journey. And I hope I cleared some things up for some people, because there are articles out there. There's a great one out there that I believe is called "What You Don't Know About Hospice Can Kill You." And it basically goes through the misconceptions that some people have about hospice and why they're so afraid and kind of hold back on admitting or even learning more about hospice or delving into the idea of putting a loved one on hospice. And that can be, I wouldn't say detrimental to a patient, but you definitely don't get the best out of hospice if you're signing up them last minute. You want them to get the most out of all the benefits, whether it's the social work volunteers, the therapies, the extra nursing visits, the aid visits. And a lot of those misconceptions hold people back from even exploring the idea, because the word hospice is kind of still a little taboo, I think. And that's why I enjoy educating people on it, because I love it so much and I love the idea of it. It's not a death sentence, I think, as a lot of people look at it. It's just a prognosis, which in reality is like a theory, right? It's kind of an educated guess based on X, Y, and Z. And, you know, not every patient's going to fit that 6-month prognosis. Some might be less, some might be more. And like I've said in my previous videos, I don't give false hope, but I'll never take away anybody's hope on what, you know, the outcome may be. I just enjoy being there for my patients and helping them along the way and doing whatever I can to make their lives the best while they're still here. And so I'm happy to educate people on the true meaning of hospice, because it has changed a lot over the years, and there's a lot more things being added to it every single week. You know, there's a lot of different disciplines coming in, a lot of new ways that we can help our patients live out their best quality of life. And I think that's the best thing for everybody. So if you have any questions or comments, just leave them below. You can also follow me on Instagram. I'll put it right down at the bottom. My Instagram name is @gravel_walk5. And if you're wondering what that is, it's a pipes and drums song. Yeah. The best one I've heard is by the Rogues, if you're interested in that kind of music. But I hope you enjoyed the video. It's kind of a quick one, and it's kind of a little bit chopped up from my time at work the other day, or beginning work, and until now. So I apologize, but I hope it definitely helps some people. You can subscribe to my channel, that would be great. But there's no pressure. I kind of do this just for my own thing, and you know, maybe one day it'll become a thing and I can go somewhere with this, just like I was trying to go somewhere with that sentence, but I lost it along the way. Enjoy the day. Okay, enjoy the day, guys. Bye.